welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Join me for episode 3 on tools that you need before you start modding. Before I carry on, please hit the subscribe button if it's your first time visiting the channel. This is a brand new channel, just started. My original channel is called The Watcher, where I do watch reviews, and if you haven't heard about that, I'll leave the link in the description. Please go over, check that channel out, and please subscribe over there as well. Now let's look at the tools that you need before you start modding. Now please, I don't want anybody to get overwhelmed by just the sheer amount of tools that you see here. This has accumulated. Anyone who's into DIY knows the score. You look in your shed, you know, it's full of tools that you accumulate as time goes on. So we're going to look at everything that you actually need if you're going to start modding, and this will cover everything that you need to do. And the whole point of this channel as well is me sharing my learning experiences with yourselves. I've already seen a few subscribers saying that they can't wait because they are new to modding and they want to learn. So those are the perfect people that I want to aim this at. Now I've made my fair share of mistakes while modding, which I will be making videos on and showing you the catastrophic mods that I've done. Now I think it is also equally as important to actually make those mistakes. It does one thing. My first mod, let me give you an example. The first mod I did was I changed just a seconds hand on a Seiko SKX. Now I've got that right here in front of me. So I just changed that orange seconds hand. This watch is fully modded. I bought it like this, but I didn't touch it for a good month, and I think it was just what you assume about modding, how difficult it's going to be. And I was thinking, I don't want to wreck it. What if I make a mistake? What if I do X, Y, and Z? Which is what a lot of people will be thinking. And what I'm saying is it's important to make those mistakes, because then you lose that fear. The beauty of Seikos is, and I think that applies with most watches, but Seikos especially, because the mod industry is heavily centered around Seikos, is you actually can't make that big of a mistake where you can't fix, unless you break an original dial. That's it, then you're pretty screwed. But when it comes to hands and bezels and all the little bits and bobs, just go for it. I seriously do encourage just messing about with watches. Tools, what do you need? So ignore everything that you see. Let's take it down, let's break it down bit by bit. The first thing I will go into is one of these devices here. Now, if you're not familiar, this is called a Demagnetiser. Now, this probably should have been mentioned in the basic tools for watch collectors, because anybody who has a couple of watches, even 3 watches, all the way up to 20, 30, whatever. I think my current collection stands at, it's nearing 40, but that's because I review watches. So, I'm always selling watches, buying watches, etc. So my actual collection does fluctuate. My core collection is around 30 watches, and it is excessive, but it's my hobby, and I'm sure a lot of people have the same issue. But my point being is, over time, and especially if you buy secondhand watches, the most common issues that you will get with the Seiko movements is they might run a bit fast, or they might run a bit slow. And on a couple of occasions, I have found that demagnetizing your watch sets it right. So your usual symptoms are, your watch is running literally a minute or 2 minutes fast per day. That's very excessive. Your movements are rated at plus 30 seconds to 45 seconds, something like that, just on the Seiko NH35, NH36, 7S26. So anything really out of that range, then first thing you want to do is, before you even look at servicing, is hit the demagnetizer. Very simple. You plug it in, you hold it down, you'll see a red light appear. You put the watch with the case back, you hold it there for a couple of seconds, maybe 3 to 5 seconds, and you raise it off slowly up to about a foot in the air. Now that's what I read that people do. I do that 2-3 times, and it does seem to sort out quite a lot of the symptoms when it comes to just the timing of movements, if they're running too fast or a little bit too slow. So that can be part of your basic tools, and they're not expensive. That's the beauty of these things. And everything that you see here I have accumulated slowly. The only time I've rushed into a mod or done something without the tools I've messed it up. So don't rush, be patient, make sure you get your tools in before you start modding. As mentioned, there are different levels of tools, and this is for the amateur guy, amateur hobbyist. Now all these tools, they have been great. I'll tell you what's good and what's bad. So you see this is one of those all-in-one kits, those multi-kits. Now they're a good starter, but as per the case with anything which is like a multi-tool or multi-kit, because they're not specialized, you will need some specialized stuff, something with a higher quality. So with this, you're going to get your pin bar removal tool. I mean, they come with different things sometimes. Just check the contents. They come with movement holders, they come with case back or bezel removers, all sorts of things. But I've took some stuff out of here now anyway. But what I will tell you, stay away from is one of these. This is a case back remover tool. Now this thing, number one, is ugly. It's huge, doesn't need to be that big. Even though you think it will give you good leverage, it actually won't. It slips. This has caused so much damage to case backs. But I have seen really good modders, professional modders, still use these, but they might use them for just closing a case back. But when it comes to opening, it's just that it doesn't seem to sit right. And I think these are just pretty useless. And surprisingly, you know, I mean, it looks the part. It looks the part, absolutely. But what I found is, as mentioned, the basic tools, something easy and simple as this, that will work for 9 out of 10 case backs, unless they're over tightened. Just on the case back side, one of these shiny friction balls, they're always great. They're good to close case backs. You don't want to over tighten case backs. You might think the tighter the better. No, that can actually damage the case back O-ring. So you just want to tighten it where you just need to put just a bit of force to open it again. And usually I find these tighten them just right if you go all the way. So that's that. You get these movement holders. Again, this has given me some problem. You can see it looks a bit beaten up. It's got sharp edges. I've cut myself on this, so I went for something like this. I'll put in the description what all the parts are called, what to look out for. And I think what an interesting journey as well for me was actually sourcing these myself. I think it's part of the amateur modding game, and all of them were sourced from eBay. So just have a look around and I'll show you what they look like. This is really good. It's a lot sturdier and it really does hold the watch. I usually use my hands now, but you know, if you're new to it, you can use one of these. I have used this occasionally, and it's good to just to hold the watch if you need a bit more leverage to open the case back. There's that. So screwdrivers, the screwdrivers in these kits are fine. There's no issues with them, so you can stick to that. You also will get the case back openers for the snap-on case backs, and you know, that is what you are going to get in one of these kits. Screwdrivers. Oh, by the way, this mat, very nice silicone, good to work on. It doesn't slip as well. This was on eBay. So screwdrivers, okay. Now, no doubt, if you're going to look to do most mods, you might need to take hands off. These are hand removers, and they do exactly what they say. You see the little gaps between them. They'll hold on to the dial, and you can pop the hands out using this. Advised, use a bit of plastic here. This is just one of those bags, and that will prevent damage to your dial. You can also go get official, I've got one in here. These are called those Bergeron. Now Bergeron do really high-end, really good quality tools for watches. Now the only thing I find with this is when you've got applied indices that are slightly raised, it's quite difficult to get this to sit properly, for it to go under the hands and then sit on top of the indices, the hour markers. Okay, once you take the hands off, you got to put the hands back on. So you can get these are hand press tools, very cheap. You've got different thicknesses on there. I use normally this one for the hour and the minute hand. Second hand is this. Obviously you don't want to use the metal side, scratch your hands. Now people do also use a little jig, which you've probably seen, with a plunger mechanism, which presses down. Either way, if you want to use that, use that. I've not actually had a need to use it at the moment. Like I said, with experience, you know, the hands is one of the things I did struggle on. just to get used to putting them on, keeping them center. The key is being patient. Don't rush, just be patient, apply your hands, press down firmly, you know, don't be too timid with it, but don't be obviously too harsh with it as well. It's just somewhere in the middle. Apart from that, you know, you're gonna have your usual auxiliary tools that you need for a lot of things around the house, never mind just watches. You're gonna need some tweezers. Just got your standard tweezers here. These are a lot better quality. These ones actually, they've got a sharp point movement holder. You can get specific NH35 movement holders. They just look like little cups basically, or like look like candle holders. However, this tool here, it does allow you to do different sizes, so it is a bit of a multi-tool. Now, I've been using this wrong for a long time. I just found out literally last week that if I turn it on this side, that is actually perfect for the NH35, NH36. Every day is a school day, guys. Okay, after that, you've got this tool here. I've just applied tape to it to prevent scratches to the case back. This is what it looks like. It's just a little wide point. It's pretty beat up. I've done a lot of stuff to this, to be honest. But this is going to help you remove case backs and also pop bezels off. Another thing you're going to need is grease, silicone grease. You do need one of these. I did mod quite a bit without it, but it is quite handy because it's good for lubricating obviously the O-rings on the case back and the bezel gasket O-ring, whatever you want to call it. Now let's hit something here which is going to really benefit you guys. These are not tools that you're going to buy. These should be around the house. Little tips and tricks here now. So the first thing you're going to need, blutack. It's very important for cleanliness. When you are modding a watch, you need to be super clean. So you need finger cuts. First thing, finger cuts here. You know, they're quite important, quite handy, better than gloves. I think with the full glove, your hands do get kind of sweaty. With the finger cuts, you don't leave any fingerprints on the watch. Now, secondary to that, it's good to have cotton buds, or as our brethren in the US of A call them, Q-tips. Again, these are quite handy if you need to use rubbing alcohol on anything, get rid of some adhesive or bit of grease. That's quite handy. Safety pin, you know, look around the house as well, think outside the box sometimes. I've got something really good here. It's the head of one of those electronic toothbrushes, and I find this really good when I need to clean up inside the bezel. Usually when you get a used watch where dirt is gonna accumulate, so in and around the case back, etc., that's really quite handy. Snips, you do need some really fine snips. This is for dial feet, cutting dial feet, and these will really help. The first thing you actually want to do, you don't need to get all of this. You want to establish to what level that you want to mod, and that's what I did. I took it step by step. What do I want to do? Okay, I need to take case backs off. I need to take movements in and out. That's fine. And then, you know, bezels. I went to bezels, crystals. So then I bought the crystal presses. And so when you get to it, decide what scope, and that'll make it easier. Take it step by step. Don't rush, and use the right tool for the job. That's it really for the tools that you need before you start modding. Just one thing here, the blower here, again, really helps cleanliness. Clean your work surface, clean your dials before you reinstall them. And that is it. This is the full collection. And as I do modding videos which are slightly aimed at, you know, the more intermediate or expert modders, then we'll talk about any other extra little tools that you might need. So thank you guys for watching. I'll leave the details in the description below. Also, I'll leave the link to my channel on the watch reviews. So thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next video.